Don't pack a bag, don't grab the keys, and don't walk out that front door, because moving out of your home too soon after divorce could be the single biggest mistake you ever make. Divorce is emotional. When fights explode, when the tension is unbearable, the first instinct is simple: just get out. You want peace, you want space, you want to breathe again. So you think, I'll move out, she can stay here, and we'll sort everything out later. But here's the harsh truth: later never comes, because the second you leave, the game changes. In family court, leaving the marital home isn't just about moving boxes. It's about giving up rights, leverage, and stability. Judges don't care that you just needed space. They see you walked out and they treat it as if you abandoned the house, the kids, and sometimes even your claims to property. And once that happens, it's almost impossible to rewind. I've seen men and women who thought moving out was the calm choice, the smart choice, crushed by what followed. Suddenly, the house they paid for was labeled her residence. Suddenly, their time with the kids shrank because they chose to leave. Suddenly, the settlement tilted against them because the other side argued they don't really need the house. They already left. And the regret? It's brutal. Paying the mortgage on a home you can't live in. Losing custody time because the court thinks you gave up daily contact. Watching your strongest bargaining chip vanish, all because you packed too soon. That's why this video matters. Because today, I'm going to show you the 7 powerful reasons you should never move out of the marital home after divorce. Not until you understand exactly what's at stake. These aren't guesses. These are real traps that people fall into every day, and each one can drain your money, your rights, and your future. So before you even think about calling a moving truck, stay with me, because knowing these 7 reasons could mean the difference between protecting your home and losing everything you worked for. And the first reason is the most obvious, but the one people overlook in the heat of the moment. Leaving the house means losing leverage in the divorce. Reason number 1, leaving the house means losing leverage in the divorce. The first reason you should never move out of the house after divorce is simple but powerful: leverage. Think of the house as your biggest bargaining chip. It's not just 4 walls and a roof. It's equity, it's stability, it's where the kids live, and it's often the most valuable asset in the entire divorce. The person who stays in the home holds the ground. The person who leaves gives it up. Here's why. The second you walk out, you've changed the story. In court, it doesn't matter that you just needed space or that you thought leaving would reduce fights. Judges look at actions, not excuses. If you left, the court sees someone who abandoned the property. And once they see that, it becomes harder to argue later that you deserve to keep the house or even a fair share of it. I've seen people lose thousands in equity because they left too soon. By the time the divorce was finalized, the judge treated the one who stayed as the resident spouse. That label matters. It tilts everything in their favor, from who gets temporary possession of the house to who gets it permanently in the settlement. It doesn't stop at property either. Staying gives you power in negotiations. If your ex wants the house, they'll have to give up something to get it. Maybe a bigger chunk of savings, maybe a better custody deal, maybe reduced alimony. But if you move out on your own, that power disappears. Suddenly, they don't have to bargain at all. They already have what they wanted. You handed it to them. The regret comes fast. Paying a mortgage or rent on a place you don't live in, watching your ex use your own decision against you in court, realizing you could have traded the house for something better, but you walked away too soon. The fix is simple: don't leave. Not until the papers are signed, not until the deal is locked, not until you've squeezed every ounce of value from that leverage. Because once you're out, you can't just walk back in. And while leverage is the biggest bargaining chip, the second reason hits even harder. Moving out can damage your custody rights with the kids. Reason number 2, moving out can hurt your custody rights. The second reason you should never move out of the house after divorce is because it can seriously damage your custody rights. In family court, judges care about one thing above all: stability for the children. They want to see where the kids live, who gets them to school, who makes dinner, who helps with homework. The parent who stays in the home automatically looks like the stable one. The parent who leaves, they look like they walked away, even if that's not true, even if you just wanted to avoid conflict. If you move out and the kids stay with your ex, guess what? She now looks like the primary caregiver. By the time you fight for shared custody, the judge may say, well, the kids have been living with her for months. Why disrupt their routine? Just like that, your decision to leave could lock you into less parenting time. It gets worse if you don't have a solid place lined up after leaving. Judges don't look kindly on parents bouncing between apartments, rentals, or friends' couches. They compare that instability to the family home where the kids have always lived and you lose. I've seen cases where fathers wanted equal custody but lost out because they left the home too early. Judges said, you set the status quo when you moved out. That phrase, status quo, kills custody arguments. Once the kids are settled somewhere, courts don't like to uproot them. The regret here is crushing, seeing your kids only on weekends, not because you're a bad parent, but because you made a move that looked like abandonment in the eyes of the court. The fix? Stay put. If you want equal rights, don't leave the home until custody is settled on paper. If the tension is unbearable, set boundaries inside the house. Separate bedrooms, clear schedules, but don't give up the ground you're standing on, because once you leave, it's almost impossible to reclaim that lost time. And while custody is an emotional loss, the third reason hits your wallet directly. Moving out can leave you paying for 2 households at once. Reason number 4, moving out makes it easier for your ex to claim the house as hers. The fourth reason you should never move out of the house after divorce is because it makes it far easier for your ex to claim the home as hers. Here's how it happens. The moment you walk out, she becomes the one in possession of the house. She's the one living there, paying the bills day to day and maintaining the space. By the time your case reaches court, she can argue, I've been living here. I've kept it up. I'm the one using it. It should stay mine. Judges don't just look at titles or names on a mortgage. They look at possession. And in family law, possession is powerful. Even if you're still paying the mortgage, your absence weakens your claim. The court sees her as the resident and you as the one who abandoned the property. And when that narrative takes hold, it's almost impossible to fight back. It gets worse if kids are living there. Judges want to avoid disrupting children's lives. If she's in the house with them and you've already moved out, the court often rules the children are stable here, so we'll keep things as they are. That stability argument cements her control over the property, even if you're the one making the payments. I've seen men walk away thinking, we'll split the equity later. But when later came, the judge sided with her, awarding her the house and giving him only a small buyout. Why? Because he moved out and she built her case around staying. The regret is brutal. Watching the home you built, the one you worked for, slip away not because of fairness, but because you walked out too soon. The fix is clear. Stay until the court decides or until a written settlement is signed. If you absolutely must leave, get an agreement in writing that says moving out does not mean giving up your claim. Without that safeguard, your exit can and will be used against you, because in family court, the one in possession often becomes the one in control. And if you move out, you're handing her that control on a silver platter. And while property battles are devastating, the fifth reason cuts deeper into your everyday life. Moving out can push you into paying more child support and alimony. Number 5, moving out can push you into paying more child support and alimony reason. The fifth reason you should never move out of the house after divorce is because it can drive your support payments higher than you ever expected. Here's why. When you leave, you're no longer in the home day to day. That automatically shifts the picture of who provides for the household. Judges and mediators look at who's living with the kids, who's paying the bills inside the house, who's keeping the lights on. If she's there and you're gone, the court sees her as the primary caregiver, and that means you're more likely to be ordered to pay larger amounts of child support. It doesn't stop at kids. Moving out often sets the stage for higher alimony too. Courts may say she needs the house to maintain stability and he has the income to provide it. That argument leaves you paying not just support, but also part, or sometimes all, of the costs of the home you can't live in. Add in your own rent or mortgage on top, and suddenly you're covering 2 households while she covers none. I've seen cases where the moment one spouse left, the other used it as ammunition. They argued, he left me with the house and the kids, so he should pay more. And the judge agreed. What started as an attempt to reduce conflict turned into years of higher payments. The regret is devastating. Watching a simple decision to move out transform into thousands of extra dollars every month. Money you could have fought to protect if you just stayed put until the settlement was finalized. The fix: don't leave until support is clearly spelled out in writing. If you absolutely must move, negotiate an agreement first that locks in fair terms. Otherwise, the court will assume you can afford more because you already left and made her look like the one carrying the household. Because here's the reality: support isn't just about income, it's about perception. And the second you move out, the perception shifts against you. And while paying more money each month hurts, the 6th reason moving out is dangerous is just as painful, because once you're gone, you lose control over what happens inside your own house. Number 6, moving out means losing control over the house. The 6th reason you should never move out of the house after divorce is because it means giving up control over your own property. When you live in the home, you see what's happening. You know what's being repaired, what's being damaged, what's being paid, and what's being neglected. But the moment you leave, you lose that oversight. You don't know if bills are being paid on time. You don't know if maintenance is being handled. You don't know if she's running up expenses you'll later be asked to share. I've seen cases where one spouse left thinking, she'll take care of the place until we sell it. Months later, they discovered unpaid taxes, broken appliances, trashed rooms, and new debts tied to the home. Because they weren't there, they couldn't stop it, and in court, they were still held responsible for half the mess. Control isn't just about money either. It's about decisions. Once you're gone, she has the daily say over what happens inside the home. Want to pick up personal items? Suddenly you need permission. Want to make improvements to protect the value? Too late. You walked out. Even simple things like mail or access to records become battles when you've given up your presence. The regret is bitter. Realizing the house you paid for, the one you built equity in, slipped out of your hands because you left too early. You didn't just lose space, you lost power. The fix is clear. Don't leave until the court orders it or until you have a written settlement that protects your rights. Staying doesn't just keep you in the house, it keeps you in control. And while losing control over the house is painful, the 7th and final reason not to move out is the most permanent of all, because leaving can destroy your negotiating power in the divorce settlement. Reason number 7, moving out destroys your negotiating power in the settlement. The 7th reason you should never move out of the house after divorce is because it kills your leverage at the negotiation table. In divorce, everything is a trade: property, custody, support. The house is often the biggest card you can play. If you're still living there, you can negotiate from a position of strength. If you've already moved out, you've given that card away for free. Here's how it works. When you're still in the house, your spouse has to bargain with you. If she wants it, she has to offer something in return. Maybe a larger share of savings, maybe lower alimony, maybe more time with the kids. You can use your presence as leverage to strike a deal that works in your favor. But the second you walk out, you hand her everything. She's already in the house. She's already set up with the kids. She already looks like the one maintaining stability. By the time you sit down to negotiate, you have nothing left to trade. Why should she offer you concessions when she already has what she wants? I've seen people lose out on huge settlements because of this mistake. Men who could have traded the house for financial freedom or a custody advantage instead walked away empty-handed, paying support, covering 2 households, and watching their ex keep the property without giving anything back. The regret runs deep. They realized too late that staying would have given them power. Moving out gave them nothing. The fix is simple but non-negotiable. Don't leave until the deal is signed. If you absolutely have to go, only do it with a written agreement that protects your bargaining power. Otherwise, every step out that door is a step away from control, because in divorce, leverage is everything, and the moment you move out, you don't just lose a home, you lose the strongest hand you had in the game. And now you've seen them all. 7 powerful reasons not to move out of the house after divorce. Now you've seen them. The 7 powerful reasons why moving out of your house after divorce could be the single worst mistake you ever make. When you leave, you lose leverage in negotiations. You could end up paying for 2 households instead of 1. You make it easier for your ex to claim the home as hers. You open the door to higher child support and alimony. You lose control over the property itself. And worst of all, you destroy your negotiating power at the settlement table. And here's the truth. Most people don't think about any of this when they pack a bag. They just want the fighting to stop. They want space. They want peace. But divorce isn't about peace. It's about positioning. And every decision you make has consequences in court. Walking out the front door may feel like relief in the moment, but it could cost you years of financial pain and lost rights. I've seen too many people learn this lesson the hard way. They thought leaving early was the mature choice. They thought it showed strength or compassion. Instead, it showed the court that they abandoned their home, their kids, and their bargaining chips. By the time they realized the mistake, it was too late. The damage was permanent. If you stay put, if you hold your ground until the papers are signed, you protect your leverage, your finances, and your future. You give yourself a chance to negotiate from strength, not desperation. Yes, living under the same roof during divorce is uncomfortable. It can be tense, even toxic, but short-term discomfort is nothing compared to the long-term pain of losing everything you worked for. A few months of grit can save you years of regret. So remember this. Don't let emotion drive your decision. Don't walk out just to avoid an argument. Don't hand away your power for free. Stay in the house until the law, the court, or a written settlement tells you otherwise. Because once you leave, you don't just move out, you move down. And the only person that decision helps is the one fighting against you. Protect your home, protect your rights, protect your future, and don't ever step out that door until you know exactly what you're giving up.